Can anyone tell me what are the audit trail objectives from chapter number 6, auditing of information system?
Reconstruction of events.
Yes.
Detecting unauthorized access.
Okay.
The other one I'm not sure. So P, something starts with P.
Personal accountability. So this before and after image and logging will not just see the flow of transactions, but it will also help us in doing reconstruction of events and detecting unauthorized access. Okay, so this ATO that I have written here is actually audit trail objectives. You have to remember the audit trail objectives and snapshot here while writing this point. Then file updating and maintenance authorization. File updating and maintenance authorization. Now, the person who is doing the maintenance of the database and all, why does the database need maintenance? So that it can work efficiently for a longer period of time. That is why we are doing it. And if we need to install some additional controls or enhance the controls and all that is done by the maintenance. Why we are doing this? So that the database must meet the user's requirements. Now, the person who is supposed to do the updation and maintenance, what we will do is we will also see whether that person is also authorized, whether he is doing the updation and maintenance correctly or not, and whether the process that he has done, whether it was of value or not. So that is the kind of interrogation we will do, and we will see whether the maintenance person is authorized or not. Then parity check. Yes, where did we see this concept, parity bit check?
Data integrity control.
In data integrity controls, yes, which type of data integrity control?
Output control.
Okay, output control. So what we will do here is we will compare the input and output. We will see whether all the information was transferred correctly or not, whether it was converted correctly or not. So that is basically what is parity check. One more point in this before and after imaging and logging, you have to mention roll forward and roll backward procedures for reconstruction of events. What is roll forward and roll backward? Yes, it is an audit term. If you don't know, I can explain. Okay, only tell me what is roll forward and I will understand. Okay, fine. We have to do an audit of the financial year till 31st of March 2020. Now we will do the audit, or we will conduct the stock audits not on 31st March 2020 exactly, because we have to stop all the operations and all. We will do it 2 or 3 days earlier or a month earlier. We will conduct the stock audit. So we will know the position of the stock as on earlier date. Now what we will do is, after we have conducted the stock audit for the further period till 31st March, we will only see what all changes were made or what were the additional activities that the organization has undertaken after we have conducted stock audit. So that is roll forward. That is roll forward. So by doing that, what we are doing is we are actually doing reconstruction of events. Last time when we were the audit trail was visible, and the next time with the audit trail is visible, the gap in between we will try to reconstruct. That is what we are doing in before and after image and logging. So the 2 points that you have to write there is reconstruction of events using roll forward and roll backward procedures to achieve audit trail objectives. So remember these two terms here: reconstruction of events and roll forward and roll backward procedures. Okay, these are the technical terms that you have to write there. Now we will see what is the accounting audit trail for this. Now first let's see what is the chronology of events. Here the receptionist will enter the data into the system, and whatever data this receptionist has entered into the system, there will be a supervisor. Once the supervisor verifies all the data and says that it is accurate and valid, till that point we will see all the events. Okay, so the start point is receptionist entering the data into the system, and the finish point is supervisor signing on the document that this data is valid and accurate. So all the events between this start point and finish point we will see in input, controls, accounting, audit trail. Okay, again here not all things will be covered in accounting audit trail. Now let's see identity of source. Okay, so this is basically the customer or any complaint or suggestion. So what kind of information the receptionist entering into the system, that will be the identity of source. Then identity of enter. It is the receptionist identity who is entering the data into the system. Then which account was updated because of that transaction, and what are the details of transaction. So say third and fourth point, those are basically the details of transactions. What account was affected, what account was updated. It may happen sometimes that a person is making payment for 2 or 3 services. So instead of preparing 2-3 customer entries, we will only prepare one combined entry. So for that, we need to see what accounts are updated. So identity of source, identity of person entering the transaction into the system, and account which was updated, and details of transaction. Then what device was used for entry? Whether he entered those details using his tablet or mobile device or the online terminal or a pager or any kind of device. Then time and date of entry. It is not data, it is date of entry. Time and date of entry. As soon as you record the entry and submit it, it will automatically tell you the time and date. We have to also see when the customer has arrived at the workplace, and the time and date which was required by the receptionist to enter the transaction into the organization. So we will also see the lag. If it is more, we will cover it in operation audit trail. We will not cover it in accounting audit trail. Then batch number of transaction. That is basically we will prepare batches of transactions according to the services we provide or the products we deliver. Then standing data is updated. Yes, sir. Does anyone know what is standing data? Okay, this audit trail part, this is actually the part of chapter number 6, auditing of information system. Why we are taking it now? Because first we have to learn the controls, then we have to know what audit trail to use. Yes, sir. Did I give you the example of the IT company from Ichalkaranji?
Yes, sir. The one who manipulated data through washrooms, right, sir?
Yes.
The access.
Yes. I will just repeat that example once again. It was actually an insurance company. For giving insurance policies, the manager was given a certain limit that if you want to give insurance policy, you can give 80% 20% discount on insurance premiums. So the policy holders, they are supposed to pay only 80%. So this was a sales strategy. Now what the manager did was he gave up to 50%, or sometimes more than 70% discount to the customers. So I detected that in the system because the discount, I did a scrutiny of the discount section. Then I kept the report in front of him during the meeting, and I asked him that if your authorization to give discount was up to 80%, then why in these cases did you give discount more than 20%? So he said it must be some technical error. I will look into it. And he just avoided the issue there. And then we went on to the next issue or the next agenda of meeting. Then the person during break, he went into the washroom, he used his mobile device, he logged on into the system. For all the details, he selected them, he used a filter. From the filter, all the transactions or the policies for which a discount was given above it 20%, he edited the details and all. And after that, everything was looking fine. Everything was looking that discount was below 20%. So then later, when he came back, he started telling me that that he just went into the IT department, and the IT department is saying that everything is fine. Why are you taking up this issue and all? So I was surprised that why he would say that. And when I also looked into the record, it was looking that discount is less than 20% in all the cases. So it was looking that the manager had complied with all the data. But I knew I had that report in my hand. Now, how that report will be generated if that all the transactions were updated and all. So what I did was I logged on to the system from my own mobile device and saw when the transaction was updated for the last time. And there it was just updated a minutes earlier. Okay, so this standing data updated, if a transaction is already recorded in the device or the system, and if we are making any changes to it, okay, here account is not being updated, we are just updating the data. So that is how we will see the accounting audit trail. Okay, I kept an eye on the accounting audit trail. I was not aware of the ISCA subject, this chapter, and the audit trail and all at that time, but I was still able to figure that out. So we can understand this, all these concepts and controls and all, this is just common sense, but for the sake of you should not leave the specific points, because when this was covered or I exposed this to the boss, he was of the opinion that someone with experience should have understood this. I, without experience and knowledge, was able to do that. That is why even he was surprised. So standing data updated. Okay, remember this example for accounting audit trail. Then let's look at the operations audit trail. Now, the number of errors in device. Okay, now the device which you are using to enter the data into the system, sometimes it will not grant you access automatically. It will show you errors and all. Okay, this can happen, and it is very frustrating when it happens. So what we will do is we will make sure that the operations function takes care of this. So we are not including that in accounting audit trail. We will make sure operations management will take care of this. So we will report this to them. So when we report this to them, automatically audit trail is created. So number of errors in device, then number of keying errors. What is keying errors? That private key and all if you are using. If it is not working, again we will lodge the complaint, and that complaint will become audit trail. Then time to key at terminal. Okay, there is a specific time. After that time, you cannot use the key to open the terminal. If it is done, again audit trail will be visible. Then time to invoke a instruction. After a certain event, only you will invoke an instruction. You will not invoke instructions in normal situations. For example, there is a specific drawer in hotels. You're not supposed to open them in all the cases, for example, if there is a theft, you can try to open the drawer and push the button there to call the forces and all, but there is a specific time for that. You cannot invoke it daily or in normal situations. So that is what that all also will be covered here. Then frequency of command language used. Now what is command language? We saw super zapping. In super zapping, a developer mode was activated where there were no obstacles and we were able to do whatever we could do. So basically in command language, what will happen is, using this language, we will make changes to the system. Okay, so so that is illegal. Okay, that is not something other than the routine. It happens in routine. But what we will say, the frequency of it. We will only see frequency. We will not see what changes were made to the system. We will only see the frequency with which the language is used. Yes, can you remember what are the two types of languages? I think we saw them in DSS, Decision Support System.
Special purpose language.
And general purpose language.
General purpose language and special purpose language. So here we are talking about special purpose language. So this is how your chart will look like. This is only for input controls. They will not ask all of them. They will either ask data coding and source document, or source document and field interrogation. They will either club two of them, but they will not ask for more than two of these. Yes, they can definitely ask file interrogation because it has more points. Now let's see some simple questions, because we have seen a lot of points today again. It is very difficult to finish everything. So we will see some simple questions now. What information is sensitive?
Sir,
Yes.
I have a doubt, sir.
Yes.
Why is it that parity check is in output control and not in data communication control? Because it compares the I know the comp.
Good and output.
How do I say?
Yes, it compares the.
Sir?
Yes, you are saying that whatever data has been transmitted, we are comparing the data when it was sent and with the data when it was received. That is what you are saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is a valid question. In communication controls, we have a device that compares that. That is the reason we don't need parity bit check there. There is a dedicated mechanism there that is more efficient and better than parity bit check. But we didn't see it in the communication controls because it ensures data integrity. But if you have the device, then it will ensure. If you don't have that device, it is not necessary to include it in the data integrity controls. Okay, we are actually talking about, once we start communication controls, we will start with directly with that device. Okay. Should we see communication controls now only, or can we finish these simple questions now?
Finish simple questions, sir, please.
We'll do simple questions now, sir.
Okay, communication controls, it is very, interesting. Why? Because it was my syllabus for 7th standard and 8th standard. Or we had that subject information technology in 7th standard. It is that kind of syllabus. So that is why I call it interesting. Now, what information is sensitive? Okay, the earlier question that we saw, classification of data. Okay, don't confuse this with that. Strategic plans, the plans which are crucial for the success of the organization, like expansion, acquisitions, mergers. Here I will give you example. Now the organization with the current units and all, it is very happy with the results and all. So what it is thinking of is expansion, but it is still thinking about expansion. It is not it has not formalized, or it doesn't have all the projects and approval and all. So as soon as the competitor firm becomes aware of this fact, what they will do is they will prepare a shell company. Okay, what is a shell company? It is a fake company. It is just a paper company. Now what this shell company will do is it will show that it wants some finance to expand its operations. Then it is most compatible with the earlier firm's business activities. So what it will do is it will pitch itself to the company. Now after the company sees it, it will see that all the business activities are similar. It is very well integrating with our activities, the objectives, the aim, mission, vision, everything is aligning. So it is basically like our brother. It is like a brother firm. And if they want to collaborate with us, our expansion will be more faster, and they will also say that they have insight and expertise in case of expansion and all. So what they're trying to do is they are trying to create an illusionary favorable atmosphere, so that you will invest the funds and they will do ciphering and funds and run away. Okay, that is why this strategic plans information is called as sensitive information, because if the competitors come to know of these expansion plans and all, okay, they are no different than hackers. Okay, you can actually say that they are hackers on a larger scale. What hackers will do is they will just hack your bank account and all, and steal the money, that 50,000 or 60,000 you have. Okay, but the hackers at a company scale, what they will do is they will make sure that company goes into liquidation. It will not survive. Okay, that kind of planning they do. So that is why we call these issues as sensitive. So we will call this as sensitive information. After this, business operations. Okay, in the explanation itself, they have told that it is proprietary information. Yes, what is proprietary information? Okay, once again, tell me the classification of data. What are the 5 types of data?
Top secret, highly confidential, proprietary, and public.
Internal use and public document.
Yes, in proprietary, what do we have?
Security is high, and it mostly speaks about the policies, procedures aspect, and work outlines of the organization.
Correct. So that is basically what the operational information is. The lower level of management, what kind of information they will have access to. For example, client list, creditors list, and shareholders list. So you can understand if again the competitor gets our client list or creditors list or shareholders list, they will try to influence them. They will try to install some virus or any malware program in their documents. Right. So again, this is also sensitive information for business operations. Then finances. Okay, you can remember your finance management. Whatever investment decisions we make, financing, dividend decisions, wherever there is an outflow and inflow of resources in terms of money, all that will be covered here. For example, what is the salary we are giving to our employee? What is the product pricing? How do we do the product pricing? Then what is our indirect income sources? Okay. So if the competitor comes to know of this, what they will do is they will try to cut our indirect income sources. They will try to price their product a bit lower than us, or they will make the product more attractive but at the same price, or they will try to pitch the experts in our company with more salary, more incentives, and more benefits. So that can also happen. So again, this information is also sensitive because understand now, these are the key personnel working in the company. If the key personnel shift and this information goes out into the public, you can understand the fluctuations in the share prices. So again, this information is sensitive as fluctuation in share prices is sensitive. Okay, so you can remember this as strategic plans, business operations, and finances.
So the finances is more of this proprietary information, right, sir?
Yes, if you compare it with the earlier question, it looks like proprietary information. But what we will do is, wherever we are making payments or receiving income, we will call it as finances, just for the sake of this question.
Yes, sir.
So what you can do is, instead of remembering the explanation, remember the examples, and from examples, create your explanations. Okay, what is your base? Your base is the classification of data. Remember that question as your base. But for this question, in what information is sensitive, remember the examples and then go to the explanation, so that you don't get confused. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
these two questions, they are contradictory to each other. They are not in tuning or in line, because these are completely different questions. Now, whenever this happens, you have to understand that this content was taken from another author's book, and they have combined it into one chapter. After this, now let's see what is information security policy. We have seen this a lot of times before in the previous chapters. Now let's see what is the policy actually. It is a statement of rules to protect the information assets of the organization. It provides direction to the employees regarding acceptable and unacceptable usage. It should be in a written form, and it should be effective and comprehensive. Okay. So here remember only 3 points: that what is its objective, what it tells the employees, and how it should be. Okay, what kind of what is its objective? To protect the information assets. How it will do that? By telling us what are the rules. Then how it will guide the employees? By giving them their direction about acceptable and unacceptable usage. And then it should be in written form, effective and comprehensive. Okay, for employees part, you can remember that the employee was working in the organization even after the business hours, and he was watching inappropriate content. Okay, that is unacceptable usage of the resources of the organization. After this, okay, this is just an introductory definition that you have to write. They will never ask what is information security policy. If they ask, they will ask it as a concept for 2 or 3 marks. So for that, you can write these 3 points: protecting information assets, direction to employees, and in written form. Then, what are the tools to implement policy? Yes, what is PPSG?
Policy, procedure, standards, guidance.
Guidelines. Okay, that is what we are seeing. Now we are implementing P using PS. What is PSG? First, let's see what is standards. Now, what we will use in, what is the information that our standards will have is, it will specify the technologies and methodologies and uniform use of technology. Okay, if the organization has a standard that it is going to use COBIT, okay, that is the standard of the organization. Nobody else will introduce or talk about any other software which is working more than COBIT or which is better than COBIT, because now COBIT is a standard. Okay, so now the organization will be known, or the reputation of the organization will depend upon COBIT. If the COBIT has more value or more reputation, the company will be said to have high standards in working, or it is using the best practices. After that, and it will also, as the COBIT is implemented in all the areas, it will also ensure that it is used uniformly in all the areas. Okay, now instead of COBIT, if you are using ERP, whatever is the reputation of the ERP, whatever is the standards of ERP, as per that our organization will be known or recognized. So using these standards, we will implement our policy. Policy implementation cannot occur with this without these standards. Now, guidelines. Okay, guidelines are like explanations or notes to help in smooth implementation. That is what we call guidelines. Then procedures. It is a step-by-step process how to do the implementation of policy. Guidelines, they are like assisting, but procedures, this is a step-by-step tasks that you have to perform to accomplish implementation of policy. If you have written down all the procedure, it is beneficial for the users to do it accordingly. If he is not able to do it accordingly, even if the steps are given, we will use guidelines. So what are the tools to implement policy? Standards, guidelines, and procedures. For standards, remember COBIT 5 and ERP. Okay, take a break of 2 minutes. Then we will start with output controls.